you haven't done an episode on sex.
Well, we did an episode early on sexual development.
Yes.
We've done them on optimizing testosterone and estrogen, and we touched a little bit on the on libido and somewhat on sex performance, but not much. We did an episode on relationships, love, and desire, where we touched on libido specifically. So just as a quick mention of something, a lot of people take SSRIs or antidepressants that can disrupt sexual function. There are a few compounds like maca root and tonga ali and things like that, that at least in a few studies in humans have been shown to offset some of the sexual side effects. Now, in terms of sexual, and then the episode on sexual development was about how the brain and body become organized in certain ways, how the brain becomes organized if you have X chromosomes or Y chromosomes or et cetera.
You were talking earlier on about the fact that dopamine can be released when you set yourself a little goal and then achieve it. And one of the ways that you encourage your grad students is to give them a little bit of reward earlier on so that it keeps them motivated. Is this the same mentality that works during an endurance event when you want to say, I'm just got to get myself to the next lamppost, I've just got to get myself to that hill over there? Is that the same dynamic?
Yeah, we can call it milestoning. You just set some milestone. And the key thing here is that, and this is the beauty of the dopamine system, just like the stress system is generic, the fear system is generic. It's designed for a bunch of different scenarios. The motivation system is also generic. It can be to achieve the next lamppost as a milestone, or it can be 5 miles as the next milestone. You get to control that. There is this thing about, there's a lot on the internet about semen retention and chi, right?
Yeah.
After orgasm, here we're talking about males and females, but in males, after ejaculation, there's an increase in the hormone prolactin, which makes you very mellow. And that sets the refractory period. And during that time, you're not getting another erection, you're not having sex again. Mm-hmm. This is why drugs that increase dopamine sometimes are kind of pro-sexual drugs. Mm-hmm. But if people take too much of them, then they're just like all gas pedal, but they're not relaxed enough to actually get an erection, right? This is the cocaine thing, right? So, sex is a dance between arousal and relaxation. Right. Tantra understands that, and they try and bring people into kind of a mellow plane where they are controlling all that rise and fall of arousal over and over again. That's the idea.
What about sexual fantasy? What, to get Freudian for a second, what role does sexual fantasy have in the human condition?
Well, here's the uncomfortable reality. Freud was at least right about one thing, which is that the brain circuitry that you used to develop attachments to your caregivers, mother and father or other caregivers, do not disappear when you hit puberty. They are repurposed for romantic and sexual relations. And so this is why the whole notion of anxious attached and secure attached, stems from childhood attachment patterns, but it carries over to romantic relationships. To have an awareness where if you sense too much excitement in yourself, or too much anticipation of how great someone is. I'm not saying don't fall in love, but be very cautious about the extremes of dopamine. Be very wary about the thing that makes you feel incredible. And I say this with some trepidation because I myself, love, right? I love love.
I love love.
Love falling in love. It's the best. Love falling in love being in love. I mean, that's true in romantic relationships. And I also, I love having a bulldog. Like I loved him. Love. I have so many loves in life and relationships that are always the best of it, right? But there is this element where it is a bit of a drug, right? It's this thing because it's always about more. And if you really want the relationship, if you want good clarity on the relationship and you want it to last, there has to be a tempering of that. And I don't mean playing aloof. I don't mean canceling things last minute. I don't mean playing any kind of games with the dopamine reward prediction error thing.
Is it possible to both be so excited and connected that you feel that huge drive and push to mate and be together and spend time? Or is that overly heightened dopamine or state an indication of an unhealthy loop or pattern relationship in two people?
Oh, I think it can be healthy. I mean, and also remember, dopamine is a generic molecule. So for instance, if ever there was a justification for maintaining a lot of different interests and things that can generate dopamine, here's one. We talked about before, when you're in relationship that's really great, you feel more energy to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
The substrate by which adrenaline is created, etc. Well, the opposite is also true. You imagine the couple, and one is doing kind of well in life, they're excited about life, the other one is not. Well, the person who's excited about life is sort of like, is in a position to be more excited about the relationship. If you come home from a great day at work